Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, family and friends. We're back again. You know, not a day goes by where there isn't something to talk about with this current presidency. For example, over the weekend, this last weekend, the official White House released two photos. One might have been on Friday, but one was of the president dressed like the Pope. Now, first of all, that's a little sacrilegious. I'm not even Catholic, but I know that's sacrilegious, okay? We'll get past that. Then, on May 4th, may the 4th be with you, they had the president dressed up like a Sith. Not a Jedi. Jedis have green and blue lightsabers. A few exceptions for yellow and purple. But he had a red lightsaber, like the Emperor. Okay? Some of this stuff is just pure distraction. You know, the right hand not wanting the left hand knowing what it's doing type thing. So let me give you some other things. He also talked about renaming Veterans Day. I think that got scrapped already. He's talking about trying to reopen Alcatraz, which was closed because it was too expensive, but they're supposed to be about efficiency and wasteful spending, but they're going to reopen a money pit like Alcatraz, renovate it. I don't think that's going to happen. All right. $5,000. Remember I told you about the $5,000 for babies, having babies? Now, if that's not something out of The Handmaid's Tale, I don't know what it is, but we'll keep going. Well, let's get past this traffic. All right. Remember a few weeks ago when I told you that they were, all the DEI stuff they're doing, anti-DEI, anti-woke, blah, 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 blah. First of all, DEI and it was really for white women. You act like the government actually did something for us. Anything that was done that you could say benefited black people, it also benefited white women. Okay? So let's get that out of the way. A new thing that he is doing, after he said federal contractors are allowed to discriminate now, because he removed that language from the laws preventing discrimination from federal contractors. That's very important, okay? Now, he's talking about reducing or allowing contractors to reduce the minimum wage for workers. Now, how do those two things go together? Well, here we go. If you are allowed to discriminate against workers and you're a contractor, and if you're allowed to change the minimum wage or not have a minimum wage, you could say, well, you know what? For all the white males that work here, we're going to pay them $15 an hour. And all the women or people of color, we're only going to pay you $5 an hour for the same job. That's discrimination. But remember, he removed the law saying that they are allowed to discriminate now. Oh, you see the connection? You think that's beyond the realm of possibility with everything else that's going on? All right, let's continue on. There's also been a talk about trying to privatize not only Social Security, but privatize the post office, the postal service. So make the postal service privatized like Amazon. How does that even make sense? You already have private companies doing this. Why would you change the rules for one that's subsidized? We pay for that. But now all of a sudden we're going to allow a private company to come in and take all the infrastructure and everything that was built with tax dollars and just take it over. Obviously it makes sense for rich people, but for everybody else, we're getting screwed. And you don't see it for a lot of people don't see it because they still support this crazy administration. They think that it's going to benefit them. And the same way the farmers did, the same way the coal miners did, the same way truckers did, the same way unions did. He doesn't care because he doesn't need your votes. He doesn't need your votes anymore. Because either either he can't run again or he's going to try to find a way to cheat the system and stay in where nobody gets to vote at all anyway. He doesn't need your votes anymore. You don't see that? You don't see that? Okay. Last thing I want to touch on is why, it took me a minute to really think about this, why they are so hell-bent on removing Black history or any teachings about Black history. They call it, critical race theory, whatever the case may be. But here's the key. I cracked the code. I figured it out. If you can't be taught about Black history, because Black history is really American history, but it's very political, okay? You can't be a white supremacist and look Black history in the face and not know that it's a lie, not know that white supremacy is a lie, because America wouldn't be America if you didn't have slavery. America wouldn't be America if you didn't have the Black and brown people working, building up the farms, the infrastructure, the buildings, all these things slap white supremacy in the face. You can't sit back and say, oh, America is so great because white supremacy did this, that, and the other. You can't say that without acknowledging Black and brown history. That's why they want to get rid of and don't want to see Black history taught in schools, because it's immediate antithesis. It shows the fallacy of what they're trying to teach or what they're trying to say, and they can't look that lie in the face with a straight face. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy on my part to think that way, but I just try to put one and one together to equal two. Anyway, thank you for watching my video, and make sure you guys have a good afternoon and a good day.